much in prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swabhavantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhantam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pradan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhantam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namah. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurtushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpatarurvyasya Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namostate Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullaravindaya Tapatra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipah Prapanna Parijataya Tottavetraikapani Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha. We're studying chapter 9 of Bhagavad-gita as it is, the most confidential knowledge. And yesterday we covered verse number 22. Ananayas chintayantu mam ye jana paripasite tesham nityavayuktanam yogashema vahamyaham. Krishna is contrasting pure devotional service or worshipping him to worshipping the demigods. Right? Let's look at verse number 23 today, 23 onwards. Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidipurvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Avidhi purvakam. Avidhi means improperly done. So Krishna is saying those who worship the demigods, they are indirectly worshipping me because I made them the demigods. I give them all the powers. I gave them the authority. And everything actually comes to me directly or indirectly. So they worship me, but they worship in an improper way or a wrong way. Right? Therefore, they are told here as not very intelligent. Persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent. Although such worship uh, is offered to me indirectly, Krishna says. For example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge. or without observing regulatory principles. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply uh, food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. Officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidipurvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. Illegal worship, basically. Mm. So, Srila Prabhupada always said that devotees are lazy intelligent. What does lazy intelligent mean?
They've taken a shortcut.
They have taken a shortcut, or
They know that worshipping the Supreme Lord will get them all the results. So why should they take the long route of worshipping various demigods and doing all the rituals and all of that when they know that is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is going to get them to where they need to go ultimately.
yes, correct. So they have taken the shortcut. They are working smart. So lazy intelligence means, as stated here, to do less, to do more. Service to one God, the Supreme Lord, is service to all the many gods. So devotee is more intelligent than being, foolish or irresponsible. A devotee knows that if I spend all my time in serving the Supreme Lord, I'm actually satisfying all the demigods because he is the source of all the demigods. But if I individually serve each and every demigod, I won't even have time to do that. I won't be able to do that. Right? So here's a question for you all. Why is demigod worship advocated in chapter 3 and rejected in chapter 9? Is the Lord not contradicting himself in the same scripture?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, it's like in chapter 3, like God is saying first we the devotees, like they should jiva should start doing some one or the other something for God, and slowly and gradually when they follow the rules and regulations given in the scriptures, and slowly and gradually they will become Krishna conscious.
Yes. And what else?
Prabhuji, he's here. Krishna is directly addressing the devotees. There, he was addressing people with different consciousness. Here, he is addressing the devotees. So, for devotees, what is required is worshipping the Supreme Lord and not the demigods.
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Any other point?
Prabhuji, the chapter 3 was basically Karma Yoga, wherein God has advocated people to sacrifice before gaining something, wherein in this chapter it is completely Bhakti Yoga, wherein he is asking the devotees to directly surrender unto him.
Yes. Okay. So Krishna is giving contradictory knowledge? No. Krishna is giving knowledge to different types of audience or different levels of audience. There, Krishna is speaking about someone who is on a very preliminary level of spirituality or yoga, who has just started being connected to some authority. So, karma kand, do sacrifice. Be grateful. Don't be a thief. That's the level of the audience. But here he's talking about pure devotional service. Already he said, Yogi Nama Sarvesham. So he's talking the message to the best of the yogis. Therefore, he's saying there's no need of demigod worship. Right? So Krishna is therefore rejecting that here. In the same scripture, there are different levels of knowledge given. Right? So what is acceptable at lower levels of one's spiritual development is sometimes unhealthy at higher levels of development. And it has to be given up. Right? So he's not giving contradicting knowledge, he's giving gradual progressive knowledge, as Parangati said. Yes, thank you. Next verse 24. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhurev cha na tu mam abhijananti tatvena taschavanti te. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Vaishimati.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Here, it is clearly stated that there are many types of yajna performances recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually, all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yajna means Vishnu. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad-gita, it is clearly stated that one should only work for satisfying Yajna or Vishnu. The perfectional form of human civilization, known as Varnashrama Dharma, is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. Less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. Hare Krishna.
Yanti devavata devan pitre yanti pitrivataha bhutani yanti bhutecha yanti madhyajinopi mam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. Different worships, different destinations. Guru Nanak.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. If one has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose, such as the process technically known as Darsha Purnamasha. These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portion of the Vedas, which recommends a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha, raksha, or pishacha. Pishacha worship is called black arts or black magic. So there are many men who practice this black art. They think that it is spiritualism, but such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieve the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshipping the demigods, one can achieve the heavenly planet, or by worshipping the Pitas, achieve the Pitas planet, or by practicing the black arts, achieve the ghostly planets, why can the pure devotee not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahmajati. The The Krishna conscious movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society, to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna. So different people worship different personalities based on their faith. Whatever is the level of their consciousness, naturally they get attracted to some particular being and they start worshipping that being. So different types of worships, they are related to different modes of material nature. Those who are in mode of goodness, they worship the demigods, which means someone who is higher than you, Surya, Chandra, or other heavenly planets, they go. Those who worship the ancestors, they are more in mode of passion. They do human worship, and therefore they go to Pita planet. Pita planet is also known as Pitriloka. Then those who worship ghosts and spirits, they are in ignorance. Therefore they worship the dead matter or dead beings, and then they go to the place of yakshas, rakshasas, pishachas. And then those who worship Krishna or Vishnu, they are in pure goodness. They go to Vaikuntha Loka and Krishna Loka. So that gets over the section of demigod worship versus transcendental worship. Next, last section in this chapter. Glories of worshipping Krishna directly. The easiest thing in Krishna worship is that Krishna gets satisfied with very little. So, Krishna has already shown us two paths. One is you worship the demigods. The other is you worship me. He has also spoken about the destination of where you go if you worship a particular demigod. Now he's speaking directly, very directly, at the end of the chapter, that one should worship Krishna. And these are the benefits of worshiping Krishna. That we should become his exclusive devotee. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahitam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Vishwanath Thakur says that fruit is edible, leaf is also sometimes edible, and water you drink. But flowers are not edible. Not all flowers are edible, right? Maybe some rare cases, some flowers might be edible, but in general, flowers are not edible. So Vishwanath Thakur is saying that Krishna's love for his devotees is so much that he can even eat something which is not edible if it is given with love. He loves his devotees so much. He can just eat anything if it's given out of love. And it's exactly the same verse which Krishna said in Srimad Bhagavatam to Sudama. Exactly same verse. When Sudama brought that chipped rice, 4 handfuls of chipped rice, Krishna said the same thing to Sudama because Sudama was hesitant. He was thinking, he is Lakshmipati. How dare I give him this chipped rice? It's not going to be palatable for him. And then Krishna said this verse that it's okay even if it's not palatable. I'll eat it because it's given with love. So I'll eat that chipped rice. No problem. That's Krishna's love for his devotees, that he will do what is not doable out of love. He'll eat even a flower. And Krishna proved that when Vidurani, she was giving banana peels to Krishna, he ate the banana peels. No problem. Right. So this is one of the glories of Krishna's devotional service. Let's read the purport. Paramgati Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve a permanent, blissful abode for eternal happiness. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge? Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone because he is self sufficient, and yet he accepts the offering of his devotee in an exchange of love and affection. To develop Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. Bhakti is mentioned twice in this verse in order to declare more emphatically that bhakti or devotional service is the only means to approach Krishna. No other condition, such as becoming a Brahmana, a learned scholar, a very rich man, or a great philosopher, can induce Krishna to accept some offering. Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never causal. The process is eternal. It is direct action in service to the absolute whole. Shall I
You can
continue?
continue. Yeah, continue.
Here, Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord, and the real object for all sacrificial offerings, reveals what types of sacrifices he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then one should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. If he desired such things as offerings, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, fruit, flowers, and water be given to him, and he says of this offering, I will accept it. Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will not accept it. Thus, we cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods. In the third chapter, verse 13, Sri Krishna explains that only the remains of sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption by those who are seeking advancement in life and release from the clutches of material entanglement. Those who do not make an offering of their food, he says in the same verse, are eating only sin. In other words, their every mouthful is simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature. But preparing nice, simple vegetable dishes, offering them before the picture or deity of Lord Krishna, and bowing down and praying for him to accept such a humble offering, enable one to advance steadily in life, to purify the body, and to create fine brain tissues which will lead to clear thinking. Above all, the offering should be made with an attitude of love. Krishna has no need of food, since he already possesses everything that be. Yet, he will accept the offering of one who desires to please him in that way. The important element in preparation, in serving, and in offering is to act with love for Krishna. The impersonalist philosophers who wish to maintain that the absolute truth is without senses cannot comprehend this verse of Bhagavad-gita. To them, it is either a metaphor or proof of the mundane character of Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad-gita. But in actuality, Krishna, the Supreme Godhead, has senses, and it is stated that his senses are interchangeable. In other words, one sense can perform the function of any other. This is what it means to say that Krishna is absolute. Lacking senses, he could hardly be considered full in all opulences. In the 7th chapter, Krishna has explained that he impregnates the living entities into material nature. This is done by his looking upon material nature. And so, in this instance, Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love in offering foodstuff is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. This point should be emphasized because of his absolute position. His hearing is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. Only the devotee who accepts Krishna as he describes himself without interpretation can understand that the supreme truth can eat food and enjoy it. Hari Hari.
Yes. Krishna can eat and Krishna can also enjoy. So very nice long forward by Prabhupada explaining the benefits of offering food to Krishna. What should be offered, how it should be offered, why it should be offered, right? So Prabhupada says in one lecture, if we want to transfer ourselves to that supreme planet Krishna Loka, then we must prepare ourselves how to love Krishna. Krishna, for we cannot claim any favor from the Supreme unless we are in love. Which means he's saying if you want to get the favor of going back to God, then for that favor from Krishna, you have to love Krishna. So if we have to deal with God in that way, the beginning is offering. Right? To love, what to speak of pure love, is the most difficult lesson to learn for those who only know the language of lust. Right? Hardly people understand what is love. So much goes in the name of love in this world. But then what is true love is very difficult to comprehend. You get a glimpse of it when you study or read or hear the pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. That gives you a glimpse of pure love. And therefore, for people like us, it's very difficult to understand that language of pure love. We understand the language of lust. Therefore, when Krishna said this verse, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, it sounds so simple. I mean, is it so easy? You just offer this much to Krishna and Krishna is going to be conquered by that? But Arjuna understands that pure love is not that simple. It is simple for those whose hearts are simple. But for those whose hearts are not simple, they are complicated people. For such people, that pure love is also not simple. It's difficult, right? Very difficult. Here the word bhakti has come 2 times. Therefore, that means that's the most important ingredient in offering something to Krishna. When we have to worship the demigods, the whole thing has to be so elaborate, so precise, so neat and clean. And then the demigods will accept our offering. So much of chanting of mantras. But when it comes to worshipping Krishna, nothing like that. Krishna says, Aham, Ashnami, Aham, I eat. I eat. So what are the key lessons from this particular verse to learn? First, devotion or bhakti is the main ingredient because bhakti has come 2 times. Anyone can make an offering to Krishna, even if someone is very, very, very poor. Right? So this is to encourage even those who are in abject poverty. If they think, I cannot do for Krishna anything, Krishna says, no, everyone can do something for me. Then offering should be free from unnecessary violence. Prabhupada said, right? You can't offer meat and fish. You just need to offer. Why? Because love to someone cannot be expressed by showing hatred to someone else. That's not pure love. Right? If I say I love Krishna, but for that I hate someone else, or I cause disturbance or trouble to someone else, that's not love. You can't love Krishna by showing cruelty towards his creation. Right? And fourth, Krishna is so grateful for anything we offer. This is a very beautiful saying by Thomas Kempis. What does he say? He who loves with purity considers not the gift of the lover, but the love of the giver. So not the gift of the lover, but the love of the giver. And that's what Krishna considers. But Arjuna says, not easy to love you like that. So what should I do? Krishna says, don't worry. If you cannot be so simple in heart, then you don't practice bhakti yoga. You come down to a lower level. And what is that? Nishkama karma yoga. Yat karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushamad arapanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Very slight difference, but it totally changes the yoga system. Bhakti yoga and Nishkam Karma yoga. Krishna is saying, whatever you eat, you offer to me. Is that not bhakti? No, bhakti means you offer that to Krishna, which Krishna wants to eat. What Krishna wants to eat. That is bhakti. If I offer Krishna what I want to eat, that's Nishkam Karma yoga. But if you offer Krishna what Krishna wants to eat, that is Bhakti yoga. Right? So Krishna says, if you can't do bhakti that way, do this much at least. Whatever you do for me. I mean, at least you think so that you're doing it for me. In that way, that will bring purification. So we come to know about the classification, of different types of yoga, like Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In Sakam Karma Yoga, you are attached to your work, also the fruits of your work. And therefore, because you want to please Krishna to some extent, you offer some little amount of your fruits to the Supreme Lord. That's Sakam Karma Yoga. What is Nishkam Karma Yoga? You are attached to the work, but not to the fruits. So you offer everything to Krishna, but you work as per your liking. And in Bhakti Yoga, you are attached neither to the work nor to the fruits of the work. Which means you first surrender to Guru and Krishna. And then when they say, do this, you just do that. And then you offer the results to Krishna. That is the level of Bhakti Yoga. Slight difference. Still, there is a difference.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I ask you one question? Prabhuji, in the previous verses, Buddhi Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga were likened to Bhakti Yoga, but here it is the difference is visible. So, why is it so, Prabhuji?
It's not that earlier it was likened to Bhakti Yoga. Srila Prabhupada explained it in that way that, it's like a progressive march. You start from here, then you come to Nishkam Karma Yoga, then you go to Jnana Yoga, then you go to Ashtanga Yoga, and finally you come to Bhakti Yoga. So you'll be seen, if you at the end come to Bhakti Yoga, then you'll be seen as a Bhakti Yogi. Everything that you have done in the past will also be seen as a step to Bhakti. So it was presented in that way. It is equal to Bhakti. If one at the end reaches Bhakti.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Because there are two ways to come to Bhakti. One is the gradual way, the yoga ladder way, and the other is the direct way.
So, Nishkam Karma Yoga can be considered much better than Jnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, Prabhuji, just lower to Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah, Nishkam Karma Yoga is, when you say much better than Ashtanga Yoga or Jnana Yoga, it goes parallel. A Jnana Yogi is not an idle meditator. No, a Jnana Yogi also functions or works. And a Jnana Yogi works in the spirit of Nishkama. Even an Ashtanga Yogi does some work. Only very advanced Ashtanga Yogis can stop doing any kind of work and take sannyas. So they are also Nishkama Yogis. Like, just giving a very, it's not the right example, the most right example, but just giving an example. We have heard the name of Srimad Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj. So Gaur Govind Maharaj, of course, he was a Mahabhagavat right from his birth. But then, he functioned as a normal householder. He was a grihastha. He got married. He was a schoolmaster, a teacher. And he used to practice Ashtanga Yoga, Pranayam and all that every day. So now if you remove that aspect of him, that he is a pure devotee, Mahabhagat Vaishnava, but you only consider this aspect of him. He's a schoolmaster, school teacher, a grihastha, and he's doing Ashtanga Yoga every day for half an hour, something like that, Pranayam. So what is he doing the remaining 23.5 hours? He's working, right? As a grihastha. He's doing all these duties. But he's doing all that in the spirit of Nishkam. Fine. So in that case, he will be seen as an Ashtanga Yogi as well as a Nishkam Karma Yogi. Okay. There's nothing like you don't do any karma. Everyone does. Only when someone is on very advanced level of jnana or someone is very advanced level of Ashtanga Yoga, they can take sannyas. Stop all kind of karma. But otherwise, everyone has to engage in some karma. And that has to be done in the spirit of Nishkam Bhav.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
All right.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This is Karma Yoga. Let's read. It's 927. We read the purport of 927? Not yet, right? No. Rupanshi Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thus, it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body and soul altogether. And Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live. Therefore, he should accept the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious ritualistic ceremonies. Therefore, Krishna recommends, do it for me. And this is called Archana. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna consciousness movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in this age. But if anyone practices meditating on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra round his beads, he is surely the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi, as sustained by the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. Hare Krishna.
Shamala Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means yad karosi yada shnasi egnu yoshi dadat yet pashyasi kaunteya tachu dusha madarpanam.
Please read from the slide, no?
Oh, okay. In the beginning, one cannot take to pure Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Karma Yoga is recommended people are interested in different types of work. So therefore, Krishna says, Et karosi, never mind whatever you are doing. So how does it become Karma Yoga? Now kurushu tad mad arpanam. You give it to me. Krishna says, all right, go on. You are attached to business. You go on doing that, but the money earned out of your business, you give to me. This is Karma Yoga. Lecture, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.21, October 1, 1974, Mayapur. Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
This is Karma Yoga. But you know, when someone joins new in iskcon and he does something like this, a mature devotee will never say, you are doing Karma Yoga. A mature devotee will say, it's okay, this is also bhakti. No, don't worry. Keep on doing it. You know. But technically, it's not bhakti. Technically, it's Karma Yoga. Mhm. Okay. Next verse. शुभाशुभफलैरेवं मोक्षसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासी योगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So, Nishkam Karma Yoga can give us liberation. That much it can do, right? It can bring us to liberation. And after that, one can continue one's journey to go back to Krishna. Prabhupada explains, Sarvadeva Giridhar Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. One who acts in Krishna consciousness under superior direction is called Yukta. The technical term is Yukta Vairagya. This is further explained by Rupa Goswami as follows. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yataram Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. Rupa Goswami says that as long as we are in the material world, we have to act. We cannot cease acting. Therefore, if actions are performed and the fruits are given to Krishna, then that is called Yukta Vairagya. Actually situated in renunciation, such activities clear the mirror of the mind. And as the actor gradually makes progress in spiritual realization, he becomes completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, at the end, he becomes liberated. And this liberation is also specified. By this liberation, he does not become one with the Brahma Jyotir, but rather enters into the planet of Supreme Lord. It is clearly mentioned here, Mam Upaisheshi, he comes to me, back home, back to Godhead. There are 5 different stages of liberation, and here it is specified that the devotee who has always lived in the his lifetime, here under the direction of Supreme Lord, as stated, has evolved to the point where he can, after quitting this body, go back to Godhead and engage directly in the association of Supreme Lord. Anyone who has no interest but to dedicate his life to the service of the Lord is actually sannyasi. Such a person always thinks of himself as an eternal servant, dependent of the supreme will of the Lord. As such, whatever he does it for benefit of the Lord. Whatever action he performs it as a service to the Lord. He does not give serious attention to the fruitive activities or prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas. For the ordinary person, it is obligatory to execute the prescribed duty mentioned in the Vedas. But although a pure devotee who is completely engaged in the service of the Lord may sometimes appear to be against the prescribed Vedic duties, actually it is not so. It is said, therefore, by Vaishnava authorities that even the most intelligent person cannot understand the plans and activities of a pure devotee. The exact words are Tanar Vakya Kriya Mudra Vijnana Bujhatya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhyamala 23.39. A person who is thus always engaged in the service of the Lord, or is always thinking and planning how to serve the Lord is to be considered completely liberated at a present, and in the future he is going back home, back to Godhead. He is guaranteed. He is above all materialistic criticism, just as Krishna is above all criticism. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Next verse. Samoham sarvabhuteshu ame dveshasti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Krishna said earlier in Bhagavad-gita 4.8, Paritranaya sadhana vinashaya cha dushkrita. I deliver the devotees and I punish the miscreants. But then, if he is God and if he is Father of all living entities, should he not be merciful and equal to everyone? Should he not be impartial? Why this partiality? Favor the devotees, punish the miscreants. Right? So Krishna says, no partiality. I am samoham sarvabhuteshu. I don't do any partiality. Name dveshvasti, na priyaha. No one is my enemy, no one is my friend. I don't like anyone, I don't hate anyone. So he's not partial. But then he also says, Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyam. So Baldev Vidyabhushan gives a very beautiful explanation. He says, the first two lines of this verse is Krishna acting as Paramatma. No partiality. That's how the Paramatma sees. And then he says the last two lines of this verse is Krishna acting as Krishna with partiality. So as Super Soul is impartial, as Krishna, he is partial. But his partiality is transcendental and natural, as Prabhupada says. Right? Very nicely explained in the purport. He is like rain. Rain falls everywhere. Some trees absorb that rainwater and produce sweet fruits, and some trees absorb that rainwater and produce poisonous fruits. That sweetness or that poisonous quality has not been given by the rain. That's the nature of the tree that has produced that kind of fruit, or right, sweet or poisonous. So similarly, Krishna is giving mercy to everyone. Regardless of every living entity situation, Krishna is helping them mercifully, giving them everything they need. He nourishes everyone equally. But because of their own nature, either they make the good out of it or the bad out of it. Right? So Krishna exhibits partiality. Where? In karma? No. In the realm of bhakti, he exhibits partiality, not in the realm of karma. For the karma aspect, Krishna is totally impartial. There are laws or rules, and the reaction comes as per those laws and rules. But in bhakti, Krishna is partial in the matter of bhakti. Right? Let's read the purport. This slide I wanted to show. This is Paramatma's view, and this is Krishna's view. Purport. Dhanila Mataji, Uma. Unmute yourself.
Sorry. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandava Pranam. One may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone and no one is his special friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination, it is natural. Any man in this material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and so he provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which pours rain all over all over, regardless of whether it falls on rock or land or water. But for his devotees, he gives specific attention. Such devotees are mentioned here. They are always in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they are always transcendentally situated in Krishna. The very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, Mayite, they are in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This also explains the words Ye yata mam prapadyante tam tateva bhajami aham. Whoever surrenders unto me proportionately, I take care of him. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotee are conscious. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. The gold is glorified, and at the same time, the diamond is glorified. The Lord and the living entity eternally glitter, and when a living entity becomes inclined to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. The Lord is a diamond, and so this combination is very nice. Living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes a devotee of his devotees. If a reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, then there is no personalist philosophy. In the impersonal philosophy, there is no reciprocation between the Supreme and the living entity. But in the personalist philosophy, there is. The example is often given that the Lord is like a desire tree, and whatever one wants from this desire tree, the Lord supplies. But here the explanation is more complete. The Lord is here stated to be partial to the devotees. This is a manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. The Lord's reciprocation should not be considered to be under the law of karma. It belongs to the transcendental situation in which the Lord and his devotees function. Devotional service to the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of the spiritual world where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
There are many instances Puranas and also in other Vedic literatures like Ramayana, Itihasas, where Krishna has exhibited this kind of partiality towards his devotees, special favor, special consideration, just because the other person is a devotee. And Prabhupada says that's natural. It's out of affection for his devotees. Krishna forgives, or lets go. Lets it go. Next verse. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. What is his impartiality? This is his impartiality. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So that's how Krishna looks at a devotee. Even if that devotee engages in some abominable action, accidentally, Krishna sees that person as a saint. Right? Shrishti.
Hare Krishna. The word Suduracharaha used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional, and the other is constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditional life. And such activities are called conditional. Besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or the devotional service of the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position, and they are technically called devotional service. Now, in the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another. But then again, sometimes these activities become opposed to one another. As far as possible, a devotee is very cautious that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially and politically, but such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord, being situated within his heart, purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one could deride a devotee from some accidental fall down from the ideal path, for as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall downs will be stopped in due course as soon as a devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person who is situated in Krishna consciousness and is engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, should be considered to be in the transcendental position, even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The verse Sadhur Eva, if he is saintly, are very emphatic. They are a warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly, even if he has accidentally fallen down. And the word mantavyaha is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. In the Narasimha Purana, the following statement is given. Bhagavati cha harav ananya cheta prishamalino pi virajate manushya nahi shasha kalusha chabi kadachit timira parabhavatam upaiti chandraha. The meaning is that even if one fully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is sometimes found engaged in abominable activities, these activities should be considered to be like the spots that resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotional service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusionary energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs, as previously explained. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If one does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada has warned in the purport that one cannot misuse this verse, right? That, okay, I'm a devotee, so let me do something wrong, and then Krishna will excuse me. But he says, because Maya is very strong, they may be accidental fall downs, right? And therefore, when accidental fall down happens with some devotee, or it even happens with us, the thing is, if we are sincere devotees, we should rise up again. And we should also encourage others to rise up again. And if they do that, then Krishna says, I consider them a devotee. Right? As a practicing devotee, we should know that we are not perfect. And Krishna doesn't want us to be perfect. But Krishna wants us to be sincere. There's a difference between being perfect and being sincere. So being perfect means I don't do any mistakes. Being sincere means I do mistakes, but still I keep on doing what I'm supposed to do, the right thing. I keep on trying. So we have to learn to be sincere devotees. And then Krishna says, if someone is sincere, someone is at heart devoted to me with complete determination that I want to become a pure devotee of Krishna, I want to serve Krishna, then Krishna excuses or forgives that devotee in case of accidental fall down. Sadhu reva samantavya. I see him as a sadhu only. Right? Still the question may be raised that how is he a sadhu? How is he a great soul? So Krishna says in the next verse, Shipram bhavati dharmatma saswar shantim vigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktaha pranashyati. He's saying very soon he'll become a dharmatma. And then he's telling Arjuna, my devotee cannot perish. I'll not let that happen. Declare it boldly, Arjuna. I'll not let it happen. He's asking Arjuna to make that statement. Kaunteya pratijani name bhakta pranashyati. Right? If he quickly becomes righteous and achieves or attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Vishwanath Jagatagur says, why is Krishna asking Arjuna to declare? Why is he not going to declare? Or why is he not declaring himself? So, Vishwanath Jagatagur says that because Krishna doesn't always, keep his words. He breaks them, his promises. So he's telling Arjuna, you make a promise, then I'll make sure that that promise is followed. I'll not make a promise. I can break my promise. So you declare it bold. And Krishna is going to break his promise very soon. He promised that he'll not lift any weapon on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But right after a few days, he's going to break that promise. So he's telling Arjuna, you declare it boldly, that my devotee does not perish. Sarvapali.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam Prabhu. Shloka, you will read Prabhu?
Shloka I've already read. Read that
Okay.
purport.
But this should not be understood. In the 7th chapter, the Lord says that one who is engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. One who is not a devotee of the Lord has no good qualifications whatsoever. The question remains then, how can a person engaged in abominable activities, either by accident or by intention, be a pure devotee? This question may justly be raised. The miscreants are stated in the 7th chapter who never come to the devotional service of the Lord have no good qualifications, as is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Generally, a devotee who is engaged in the 9 kinds of devotional activities is engaged in the process of cleansing all material contamination from the heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all sinful contaminations are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Supreme Lord makes him pure by nature. According to the Vedas, there is a certain regulation that if one falls down from his exalted position, he has to undergo certain ritualistic processes to purify himself. But here there is no such condition, because the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare should be continued without stoppage. This will protect a devotee from all accidental fall downs. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contaminations. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Devapriya Mataji, you have a question you can ask. I'm a little confused. Krishna says, if someone offers me a leaf or flower or fruit, I'll accept it. He did not say I'll eat it. Krishna says Ashnami. Ashnami means I'll eat it. He did not say I'll accept it. Ashnami. Right? And so I don't know, why are you confused? I heard that in order to be soft in battle, the Kshatriyas practice by going hunting and killing animals and they eat them. No, nothing like that. I'll not understand your question, Mataji. Can you speak it out rather than putting in the chat? No mic. Okay. I'm finding it difficult to understand your question, which says Krishna says I accept it, but Krishna does not say I accept it. Krishna says I eat it. Ashnami means to eat. Right?
Prabhuji, there you said na ki Krishna can eat anything which is not edible. Example, you have given banana peels by Vidurani. So in this context.
In this context, what?
तो यहाँ पे जैसे
Krishna can eat anything, but that does not mean Krishna will eat if you offer eggs or fish or non-vegetarian stuff. Her question is something different. Why is this verse associated with food? Anyway, let's keep it. Next verse. मां हि पार्थ विपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युपापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्राः तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Shudras, can attain the supreme destination. So again, Krishna is telling another glory of devotional service, that those who are not very qualified can also perform devotional service. Right? So, he says Papayonayaha, which means born in a lower birth. Even they can be accepted by Krishna and gradually elevated to higher levels of consciousness. So, this particular verse, sometimes it becomes a little controversial, because here it is mentioned that Papayonayaha. Some people translate this as sinful birth. And then the question comes, how can women be sinful? In that sense, born sinful, or Vaishyas and Shudras, and they can attain the supreme destination. But then the interesting thing is, look at the translation. The translation of Papa Yonayaha is not sinful birth, it is lower birth. Right? So, Vishwanath Thakur explains, and Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhu also explains this verse. Ramanujacharya explains, Prabhupada explains. They give little different explanations. The word Papa Yonayaha can be seen as a category, a class, or it can be seen as a separate category, separate type. So while commenting on this verse and translating this verse, a group of acharyas, they use Papa Yonaya as a class and then say Striya, Vaishya and Shudra belong to that class. Right? And then some acharyas, they take Papa Yonaya as a separate category. So when they translate this verse, they will translate it as Papa Yonaya, comma, Striya, comma, Vaishya, comma, Shudra. Okay. So if you go by that translation, then in that case, Papa Yonaya means people born as Chandals, outcasts. That's Papa Yonaya. Fine. So these four kinds of people, Chandals or women or Vaishyas or Shudras, though they are not spiritually that astute, they can also be qualified to attain Krishna by engaging in devotional service. And then the other is that Papa Yoni is a class, and these three belong to that class. And then they also become qualified to approach Krishna, practicing devotional service. But the problem is, when people think Papa Yoni means sinful birth, but it's not so. The word Papa has two meanings. One is sinful, and the other is lower. Like Ucha and Nicha. Ucha means higher, Nicha means lower. Right? So here it's translated by Prabhupada as lower birth. Lower in what sense? Lower in the sense of social division. Right? Like we say, Brahmanas are higher, then Kshatriyas are lower, then the Vaishyas are lower, then the Shudras are lower. In that sense. Not that Krishna is against women, or Krishna is a hater of women. Therefore, Krishna said a verse like that. He's saying, anyone of lower birth, even that person takes to devotional service and be elevated. Right. Okay. And then in the next verse, he'll say, so what to speak of you, Arjuna? You are born in a very righteous family. You are of a higher birth. So why can't you practice devotional service? Definitely can. All right. Ucha Yonaya and Papa Yonaya. Let's read the purport. For what reason women are put into this category? There are many reasons for which women are put into this category. Just like, Shudras and Vaishyas are considered not very qualified, in the sense they cannot study the Vedas. Similarly, women are also not considered qualified from Vedic classification or division of society. Therefore, they're put into that category. Though we have women who are Brahmanas, we have women who are Kshatriyas, but in general, right? But then women will naturally have a hard time accepting it. What to do? That's natural. Like if someone is a Shudra will have a hard time accepting this verse. Or a Vaishya will also have a hard time accepting this verse. So if someone is a woman, if someone is in a woman's body, then a woman will also have a hard time accepting this verse. Why woman is put in this category? So instead of seeing that woman is being put into this category, you should see that Krishna is saying you belong to any category. That doesn't matter. If you practice Krishna consciousness, you'll be elevated to the highest platform. Right? That's the main point. Not the point that Krishna is putting women in this category. Right? Krishna is speaking from many different perspectives. Like in society, where we all know Varnashram system is there. So there are 4 divisions: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And as a natural division of the society, the Brahmanas are compared to the head, the Kshatriyas are compared to the arms, the Vaishyas are compared to the belly, the Shudras are compared to the feet. It's given in the Vedas like that. So then Shudras can have a protest march. Why are we compared to the feet? Why are we not the head? Isn't it? But comparing Shudra to the feet doesn't mean Krishna is telling you are useless people. Just like the legs of a society, legs of a body are not useless. Legs are also needed. Legs are also important, right? But it's just a social division to explain the interrelationship, the functionality. Likewise, in a society, different classes of people are put in different orders. Similarly, men and women. So in that case, it is there that, okay, women are of lower nature. But then that doesn't mean that all women are of lower nature. Some women are of higher nature than some men. Isn't it? Draupadi was a Satrani. And though she was a Shatrani, she was much better than many men who might even be, more than a Kshatriya. So it's not an individual comparison. It's only a group classification. Right? Just because there is that order in society. So let us not take it so much on a personal ego why Krishna is putting women in this category. Go beyond the ego if you're studying Bhagavad-gita. Go beyond the ego, personal ego. In this life, you're in a woman body. In the next life, maybe you'll not be in a woman body. Right. So go beyond the personal ego and just try to understand the main essence of the verse. The main essence is anyone can be elevated to the highest platform if they take to Krishna consciousness. Right? That's the essence. Let's read the book.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry Prabhuji, just to add to your point, gopis are considered to be the best of the bhaktas and they were women, Prabhuji.
Gopis were not women. Gopis were transcendental.
Yeah, but Prabhuji, they took that body, right? So we can consider that example can be given, Prabhuji. That's what I was trying to put. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, but they did not take a woman body. They had a transcendental body. There's a difference between a woman body, a man body, and a transcendental body. Right? So they have transcendental body. That's not a woman body. That is beyond three modes. So we can't say gopis are women. They are transcendental. That is transcendental form. They are not like ordinary women of this world. And the Gopa friends of Krishna are not like ordinary men of this world. Isn't it?
Okay, Prabhuji.
So they are transcendental. There's nothing wrong with the form. There's no problem with the form. Man's form, woman's form, monkey's form, elephant's form. In spiritual world, all the forms are transcendent. Right? Problem is with what? Problem is with the material body, material form. That's the problem. So here Krishna is not talking about that form, he's talking about that material body, that material ego. Woman, Shudra, Vaishya. This is material ego. He's talking about that. So we have to understand that, right? Not the form, the body. Such nothing wrong with woman body. In that sense, or woman form. So Krishna is saying those who are born with that lower consciousness or lower nature, they can also be elevated to higher nature. So we should see this verse as a verse of encouragement or hope-giving verse. Not that it's a verse to deride people of lower nature. It's a verse for encouraging people. That even if you're born in a lower nature, don't worry about it. You can be elevated to higher nature by practicing Krishna consciousness. Foolish people will start using this verse to deride, that, oh, you see, Krishna said women are of lower nature. That's the wrong interpretation or the wrong way of taking this verse. Krishna is encouraging. That's all. Fine.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is also related to 4.13, where Lord Krishna said Chaturvarnyam Maya Shishtam, where he has actually given all these four categories in 4.13 and explained because of the work associated with them, he has made these divisions based on their gunas and karmas.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Let's read. Sada Harinam Prabhuji.
It is clearly declared here by the Supreme Lord that in devotional service there is no distinction between the lower and higher classes of people. In the material conception of life, there are such divisions. But for a person engaged in transcendental loving devotional service to the Lord, there are not. Everyone is eligible for the supreme destination. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18, it is stated that even the lowest, who are called chandalas, dog eaters, can be purified by association with a pure devotee. Therefore, devotional service and the guidance of a pure devotee are so strong that there is no discrimination between the lower and higher classes of men. Anyone can take to it. The most simple man taking shelter of the pure devotee can be purified by proper guidance. According to the different modes of material nature, men are classified in the mode of goodness, brahmanas, the mode of passion, kshatriyas or administrators, the mixed modes of passion, ignorance, vaishyas and merchants, and the mode of ignorance, shudras and or workers. Those lower than them are called chandalas, and they are born in sinful families. Generally, the association of those born in sinful families is not accepted by the higher classes. But the process of devotional service is so strong that the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord can enable people of all the lower classes to attain the highest perfection of life. This is possible only when one takes shelter of Krishna, as indicated here by the Lord, by the word vyapasritya. One has to take shelter completely of Krishna. Then one can become much greater than great gnanis and yogis.
Yes. Kim punar brahma brahmana punya raja rishayas tatha anityam sukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. How much more this is so of the righteous brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. So Krishna is using these two verses together, not separately. He's saying if lower nature people, lower birth people can be elevated to highest perfection, then what to speak of brahmanas, kshatriyas, and kings? So he's telling Arjuna, why are you so pessimistic about yourself, whether you can practice pure devotional service or not? You are born in such a noble family. Why can't you practice pure devotional service? You can. So Krishna is using this way to encourage Arjuna. You should take to this devotional service. Vishabhati Mukund.
Hare Krishna, please extend my blessings. In this material world, there are classifications of people. But after all, this world is not a happy place for anyone. It is clearly stated here, Ain Anityam Ashukam Lokam. This world is temporary and full of miseries, not habitable for any sane gentleman. This world is declared by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be temporary and full of miseries. Some philosophers, especially Mayavadi philosophers, say that this world is false. But we can understand from Bhagavad-gita that the world is not false, it is temporary. There is a difference between temporary and false. This world is temporary, but there is another world which is eternal. This world is miserable, but the other world is eternal and blissful. Arjuna was born in a saintly royal family. To him also the Lord says, take to my devotional service and come quickly back to Godhead, back home. No one should remain in this temporary world, full as it is with miseries. Everyone should attach himself to the bosom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that he can be eternally happy. The devotional service of the Supreme Lord is the only process by which all the problems of all classes of men can be solved. Everyone should therefore take to Krishna consciousness and make his life perfect. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Last verse. Anmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam hiveshyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayana. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer my obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Right? So, this is the essence of Bhagavad-gita, the last verse of this chapter. 4 things to be done. Let's read the purport. Prabhupada gives a very beautiful explanation in the purport, which we'll summarize at the end. Megha Gupta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly indicated that Krishna consciousness is the only means of being delivered from the clutches of this contaminated material world. Sometimes unscrupulous commentators distort the meaning of what is clearly stated here, that all devotional service should be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Unfortunately, unscrupulous commentators divert the mind of the reader to that which is not at all visible. Such commentators don't know that there is no difference between Krishna's mind and Krishna. Krishna is not an ordinary human being. He is absolute truth. His body, his mind, and he himself are one and absolute. It is stated in the Kurma Purana, as it is quoted by Bhakti-sastri Goswami in his Anubhasya comments on Chaitanya Charitamrita, 5th chapter, Adi Lila, verse 41 to 48. Deha Dehi Vibhodo yam neshware vidyate kavachit. This means that there is no difference in Krishna, the Supreme Lord, between himself and his body. But because the commentators don't know this science of Krishna, they hide Krishna and divide his personality from his mind or from his body. Although this is sheer ignorance of the science of Krishna, some men make a profit out of misleading people. May I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes.
There are some who are demonic. They also think of Krishna, but enviously, just like King Kamsa, Krishna's uncle. He was also thinking of Krishna always, but he thought of Krishna as his enemy. He was always in anxiety, wondering when Krishna would come to kill him. That kind of thinking will not help us. One should be thinking of Krishna in devotional love. This is bhakti. One should cultivate the knowledge of Krishna continuously. What is that favorable cultivation? What is that favorable cultivation? It is to learn from a bona fide teacher. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and we have several times explained that his body is not material, but is the eternal, blissful knowledge. This is of this kind of talk about Krishna will help one become a devotee. Understanding Krishna otherwise from the wrong source will prove fruitless. One should therefore engage his mind in the eternal form, the primeval form of Krishna, which conviction in his heart that Krishna is the supreme. He should engage himself in worship. There are hundreds of thousands of temples in India for the worship of Krishna, and devotional service is practiced there. When such practice is made, one has to offer obeisances to Krishna. One should lower his head before the deity and engage his mind, his body, his activities, everything. That will make one fully absorbed in Krishna without deviation. This will help one transfer to Krishna Loka. One should not be deviated by unscrupulous commentators. One must engage in the 9 different processes of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting about Krishna. Pure devotional service is the highest achievement of human society.
Thank
The
you.
7th, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Neha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The 7th and 8th chapters of Bhagavad-gita have explained pure devotional service to the Lord that is free from speculative activities. Those may be attracted by different features of the Lord, like the impersonal Brahma Jyotir and localized Paramatma. But a pure devotee directly takes to the service of the Supreme Lord. There is a beautiful poem about Krishna in which it is clearly stated that any person who is engaged in the worship of demigods is most unintelligent and cannot achieve at any time the supreme award of Krishna. The devotee in the beginning may sometimes fall from the standard, but still he should be considered superior to all other philosophers and yogis. One who always engages in Krishna consciousness should be understood to be a perfectly saintly person. His accidental non-devotional activities will diminish, and he will soon be situated without any doubt in complete perfection. The pure devotee has no actual chance to fall down, because the Supreme Godhead personally takes care of his pure devotees. Therefore, the intelligent person should take directly to the process of Krishna consciousness and happily live in this material world. He will eventually receive the supreme award of Krishna. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita in the matter of the most confidential knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here Prabhupada explains these 4 instructions which Krishna gives: Manmana Bhavamadbhaktaha. he explains them very nicely. He says that Krishna is talking about pure devotional service here. How? Look at the Manmana means always thinking. Mad Bhakta means you think like a devotee. Therefore, he said in the purport, don't think like Kamsa about Krishna. So you think, always thinking of Krishna, but like a devotee with a devotion, not like Kamsa, unfavorably or demoniacally. And then, don't just say that I think of Krishna out of love as a devotee. You also engage in active service. Madhyaji, actively engage in duties. Do something practical for Krishna. Namam namaskuru. Don't take Krishna cheaply. And Krishna is my friend, Krishna is my boyfriend, Krishna is this, Krishna is that, I'm a gopi, and something like that. Don't take it cheaply. Namam namaskuru. Be respectful towards Krishna, as instructed by Krishna. So that's the approach. All limbs of surrender. He explained this in a lecture, how to understand this verse. So you remember Krishna with love, do your duties out of respect. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, as instructed by Lord Krishna. Then you have understood this verse and applied this verse, right? All right, let's stop here. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandvat. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Prabhu, yesterday we read in a shlok about Yog Shemam Vahamiham. There, that means Krishna guarantees to the pure devotees, not devotees like us or me, that he will protect their devotional service. But today,
No, nothing like that. Krishna is not saying that he only guarantees to the pure devotees, and not that he'll not protect other devotees. Krishna has already said that, in Bhagavad-gita, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sadeva bhajamyaham. So, as we surrender, Krishna will bestow his blessings or mercy or favor. So, every devotee will get Krishna's protection to the level of degree of surrender of that devotee. Krishna will protect. Not that I'm not a pure devotee, so Krishna will not protect me at all. Nothing like that. Krishna will protect.
right. Yeah, so my question was in the same line. Today, Krishna said that he will, even if we fall down, he will protect our devotion as long as we are sincere. So that protection is for us today in shloka.
Yes, it's why, yeah. If you're sincere, Krishna will protect.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandvat.
Does that Krishna will go beyond any rule, any limit, or any boundary for Ananya Bhaktas. He'll go beyond. Just like for his pure devotees like Pandavas, Krishna would personally run to protect them or to help them. Right? So for his Ananya Bhaktas, he takes personal interest. For some other devotees, he may not personally do it, get it done through someone. But Krishna will give protection, that is for sure.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Any other question? Yes, Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, this is actually, I was reading the question of Devapriya Mataji. There were actually two questions in there, I think. The first one was, of course, related to the Ashnami, where she's saying that so I'm just paraphrasing her question because I also have a question regarding the second question she has mentioned. Right, so the first question she asked was, if I offer a flower to a friend, normally if somebody offers us a flower, we would place it carefully in a vase or some decorative place, or maybe if we can water it, will continue to grow. Why are we associating that to eating or the flower, right? But I understand the word ashnami means to accept as well as to eat, because in Srimad Bhagavatam it is translated as to eat in the case of Sudama. So I think so. So for a flower, will that be the case? I mean, for Krishna.
But then, Vishwanath Thakur explained, Krishna is saying, if you offer it me with love, I can also eat it.
So it's Krishna's choice, whatever he does with the flower in that case.
Yeah, he can eat it. He can put it in the vase. He can put it on his head. Wherever, whatever he wants to do. But Vishwanath Thakur is saying that Krishna can go to the extent of eating also, if it's given out of love, which you generally don't do, right? So the main, now let us make it very simple and clear. Forget the flower. Let's only talk about fruit and fruit. Fine. So if someone gives you a fruit, what is the intended purpose?
So I can eat it. Savor it.
That's the intended purpose. You eat it, right? Someone gives you water. What is the purpose? You drink it.
Yes.
Fine. So intended purpose is either you eat it or you drink it. The main thing is you are giving it with the purpose that the other person will accept it and then eat it or whatever. Fine. If I don't love you, I'll not accept also in some case. So the main thing here is, first of all, Krishna will accept because Krishna loves us. That's the first thing. And second thing is, Vishwanath Thakur says, and Krishna loves so much. He loves so much that even if it is not edible, he'll eat it. That's the level of his love. If it's not edible, he'll eat it. Fine. So that's one thing now. So why is this verse associated with food? This verse is associated with food because here Prabhupada wants to bring up the principle of what Krishna will accept. So that's why Krishna will accept this food stuff and not accept the other food stuff. And then I heard that in order to be soft in battle, the Kshatriyas practice by going hunting. How does that make you soft in battle if you go practice hunting?
No. So it is, I heard that in order not to be
Not to
soft
be
in
soft
battle.
in battle. Okay. The
Yes.
Kshatriyas practice by going hunting and killing animals and they ate them. No, this is, you heard that, but it's not that they always ate the animals after hunting them out. Not necessarily that they ate the animals. Some might have done. Not that every Kshatriya was supposed to do that. That you go out hunt and then you eat the animal. Nothing like that. They may go hunting. They may fight with the animal and they may also kill the animal. But not necessarily they'll eat the animal. That is not true. Fine. Or the story of Agni, who is a demigod and who is always a cause as a witness, has to sacrifice. He became weak and all that stuff. And Arjuna offered to help him. So Agni burned the forest and Arjuna killed the animals so that none could escape Agni. And Agni devoured the forest. To me, not eating meat associated with compassion, non-violence. So then the third part is why Agni, being a demigod, ate that forest. That's the point you're asking. Let us first of all understand this. There are rules for animals, there are rules for humans, there are rules for demigods. Not that everyone is supposed to have the same rules. Now, when you burn a dead body of a human being, you burn a dead body of a human being. So can you blame the demigod Agni now? You're feasting on a human dead body. You can't say that, that the Agni is a non-vegetarian, he's feasting on a human dead body. That is a totally different thing. He is not a human being. He's a devata. So here when he's devouring a forest, It's not that he's enjoying those animals, savoring the meat of those animals. That's his dharma, you know. He is supposed to, as Agni, is supposed to burn things out. And those, all the fruits, I mean, all the trees and all the animals which are in the forest at that time, they were destined to be killed in that way, or they were destined to die in that way. Not that Agni is being a non-vegetarian here and Arjuna helping them to have a feast, a non-vegetarian feast. Nothing like that. Let's not confuse between human rules, laws for human beings, and laws for demigods. They are on a totally different platform, acting on a totally different platform. Fine. So they are not.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Then let's say if we burn the body, we'll start calling Agni Dev non-vegetarian. We bury the body, we'll start calling Bhumi Devi non-vegetarian. Doesn't make sense, right? Any other question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji has given a small lecture, has written on this particular incident, that when Arjun offered Agni to help it devour the forest, all the animals in those forests were actually Danavas. They were hiding themselves from Indra.
Correct.
And Indra wanted to help them because Maya Danav was one of them. So,
Correct.
yeah. So it
But
was like
even let's say they are not Danavas. Let's say there was an animal in general, otherwise also. If Krishna is God, will he not let those animals escape who are supposed not to die, who are not supposed to die? Krishna will, right? We should know that Krishna will not let any injustice happen, isn't it?
Correct.
So even if let's say they are not Danavas, they are ordinary animals. If they are supposed to die in that way, they will die in that way. No? How can Arjuna be blamed that you did a wrong act? That same Arjuna is killing hundreds and thousands of soldiers on the battlefield. So just violence is not wrong, right? Whatever may be the situation. So first thing is Krishna has ordained it. It has to be correct. It has to be right. It cannot be wrong. Just because Krishna has said it, it has to be right. So anything is correct then. And Arjuna is not doing that on his own. Krishna is there with him. Krishna is telling Arjuna, yes, let's do it. We'll together help Agni Dev. All right. Any other question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I ask you one question? Prabhuji, if a close relative invite you for a prayer of demigods and you don't go, is it enough? Like, is it a
What we don't go?
If a close relative invite you for a prayer for demigods,
If a close relative invites us for a prayer to the demigods, I mean some festival is there or some puja is there.
yes,
Then we don't go. So then
is it rude or like, is it like I'm disrespecting that person?
disrespecting the demigod or the person who invited you?
That person who invited me. Both or both because
No, You are not disrespecting the demigod, because the demigod did not invite you, right? If the demigod would personally come and invite you, come to my puja, and you say no, then it's a problem. Your friend invited you. So there's no question of disrespecting the demigod. Right. Your friend has invited you. Your friend may invite you to a pub also. Right. Your friend may invite you for so many things. So it's not that the demigod requested your friend or instructed your friend that invite your friend. That friend has just invited you. So there's nothing like I don't go to that function, I'm disrespecting the demigod. That is just a foolish sentiment. There's nothing like that. Right. I'm disrespecting the other person. Main thing is that friend has invited me and I don't go, that friend may feel bad about it. That's the main thing that should be our concern. Not that the demigod will feel offended, I did not go. Why will the demigod feel offended?
Yes.
Not feel offended. Main thing is the friend. So now regarding the friend, you decide whether you want to offend that friend or not. Sometimes there's nothing wrong in offending. So that we have to decide. If we want to just make our friend happy, then you can go. If you think it's okay, no problem. I can skip going. Don't go. These are social obligations. You should deal with them in the best practical way possible.
Yes.
There's no hard and fast rule. It depends on your nature. It depends on how close the friendship is. It depends on what do you want to get out of that friendship. It all depends on that.
Yes. No, it's about family, like the family has tell me to come. So
Yes, so you can go as a formality. You just go as a formality. What's wrong if
but I
you
have
go
no
as a
interest.
formality? There's nothing.
I don't have
If
any
you don't
interest.
go also, there's nothing wrong.
Yes.
Hmm?
No, like I don't have any interest to go.
Got it. What do you say? You do not have any?
Any interest because I have no interest to go because I
Any?
understand. I have no interest, like I'm not feeling interested in going.
Interest to go. Yeah, no interest to go. And that's okay. No problem. Mega Gupta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, should we accept the offering that is offered to demigod?
You mean to say prasadam of demigods?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Generally, Prabhupada said we should not eat because it is not Krishna prasadam. So we should not eat because it is not Krishna prasadam. So you can accept it. If you don't accept, that person may feel very bad. I'm giving you prasad and you're not accepting it. So you may accept it and then you can give it to someone who eats. Pass it on. Simple.
Yes, Prabhuji. Is there any way, Prabhuji, if our relatives give to us, so sometimes we have to accept it by thinking oh, that person will thinking wrong about me. That's so. Is this wrong to accept in that condition, the situation?
The principle is very clear. We can't eat anything which is not Krishna prasad. Right? That is a very clear principle. If you're talking of a situation where you can't follow that principle, then you say sorry to Krishna. But then don't think whether it is right or it is wrong. You know it is wrong. Let's not make the wrong right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But then you can say sorry to Krishna. I'm sorry, Krishna, what to do? I had to eat it. Right. Rather than, thinking that it was right, it was right, it was right. No, if it is wrong, let it be wrong. Just ask for forgiveness from Krishna. Why unnecessarily become conditioned to think that it is right? Then we will make anything right. So we should know, it's very clear. A devotee will not eat anything which is not Krishna prasada. But in a situation like that, then if you are accepting something, then you just be honest. No, it's not prasadam, but what to do? I am to accept it and I'm eating it. Sorry. Chant Hare Krishna and eat it if you are going to eat it anyway. But don't think that just because I accept it in this situation and then, it has become correct or there's nothing wrong about it.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Ramala Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In the 29th slide, you mentioned first two lines are Paramatma's view and second two lines are Krishna's view. What is that? Paramatma's view and Krishna's view both are not same.
No, because they are identical, yet they are not identical. It is Krishna only who is acting as Paramatma, but they have a different approach. Paramatma has a different approach in dealing with the living entities. Krishna has a different approach in dealing with devotees. Paramatma takes a neutral approach. It's just like you at home will have a different mood if you are a police officer or a judge, and when you go to the office, you'll have a different mood because you are in a different role now. So at home, when you come to know your child has done some mistake, you'll take a different approach. And if you go to the police station and you're a police officer, and there you come to know your child has done a certain mistake, then you'll take a different approach. Why? Because now you're a police officer. At home, you're a mother. Similarly, Krishna, as Paramatma, has to take a different approach, neutral approach. And Krishna, as Bhagavan, will take a more soft and personal approach.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Right. If Krishna Prasadam is offered to devatas and then could it be honored? Yes, you can honor them. It's Krishna Prasadam. That's done in many temples. First you offer everything to Krishna, then you offer it to Shiva. Or you first offer everything to Krishna, then you offer it to Ganesha. Yeah, it's in many places like that. Then it's Krishna Prasadam only. We know this Bimala Prasad. No, Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's name is Bimala Prasad. So Mahaprasadam is offered to, from Jagannath, the Mahaprasadam goes to Bimala Devi. And then it comes to us. All right, so we stop here. We'll meet in the next class.